Hello everybody, we are here with your Hera God Guide. Got to be taking Hera into the middle lane. We're going to be grabbing our Conduit Gem, going into our Spear of Desolation as per usual. So Conduit Gem has not actually been nerfed at all, but they did nerf Archmage's Gem. So this gives even less magical power scaling now, but it gives a little bit more magical power. But in general, they've been trying to get people to build some of the other starter items, but that actually doesn't matter for us because we don't want Archmages on Hera. We actually want the Gem of Focus because we want that increased movement speed as well as some of that damage reduction to help us live, because we do not have a true getaway skill on Hera. So it's going to be just kind of like on our Hell, where we try to embrace a little bit more movement as our means of living, especially as we get into the late stages of the game. So we're going to be starting off with our 1 on Hera. This is our main wave clearing ability. It's also going to be the ability that we max out first. Hera right now not considered very meta, and that's because she has to like walk up to the wave to clear it. That in itself is very, very risky, especially if the junglers go for the quick early gank, as they are liable to do. But she has to move up much farther than you would like to right now in order to efficiently clear the wave, because you have to walk up, hit those melee minions with the little cone in front of you, and then launch them back towards the archers. Attack. So she also does not actually have a getaway skill. Not having a getaway skill plus having to walk up to the wave to clear just makes her very susceptible to getting ganked. And there's just a lot of action in the mid lane right now, very early. Not uncommon to see 3 people there before the 5-minute marker. But she still does have a lot of crowd control, and she really thrives in those mid to late game team fights. So your goal on Hera at the start is just not to feed your brains out. This is actually for a lot of characters that don't necessarily have a strong early game. Your goal is just to chill out, try to clear the wave safely, get yourself out some nice wards, and not feed. Because if you can get out of the early game without feeding, you get yourself right into the team fight stage of the game. Hera actually has some pretty nice team fights and some really nice ability combos, plenty of damage. So at level 2, we got our 2. This is our main CC ability. It's going to be a straight line ability that's going to polymorph targets that are hit. And then at level 3, I got my 3. This is all we have in terms of getaway skills. This is going to be a shield that also gives you a movement speed increase. So you can see why we're going to kind of embrace that movement speed with the Gem of Focus in the late game, just to try to add a little bit of movement, a top of some movement, keep us away from those melee damage dealers. And we'll let Argus give people the beatdown. So for our level order on Hera, it is going to be 4, 1, 2, 3. We want to level up Argus any opportunity that we will get. Then we level up our 1 for our lane clear. Then our 2, because that is going to increase the polymorph duration up to 2 seconds of CC, which is a long time. And then finally ranking up our 3. Our 3 does increase the shield health, which is nice. But we're really going to be embracing our burst damage on Hera. So that is 4, 1, 2, 3 on that level order. So Hera herself, while Hera isn't that good, Argus is really, really good. So when you cast down Argus, he's going to land right on the target location. He's going to knock anybody up inside, and then he's going to start beating down on them. Your standard combination on Hera is going to be ulti 2-1. Your ulti 2-1 means you're gonna land a knock up on the target. Your 2 has a bit of a casting animation, so you start casting that right when you cast your ulti. So Argus is coming down, then you get to start doing your little twirly whirly. The animation goes off. Then they get hit by the poly. Now they're CC'd for another second to 2 seconds. On top of that, And then you finally hit them with the 1, which should be easier because they should be CC'd during that. So that's going to be your standard combo. And then after all of that combo is done, if they're still alive, you can press your 3 because your 3 also has an aggressive component, which is basically it's going to make Argus faster and give him a bleed around him. It's like a little Argus mystical male. And it will probably give you enough damage to finish it. At that point, they should be very, very low. So we can probably go for a gank right here. I'm going to throw down my ulti right on top of Mercury. I don't have my 2 to follow up, but I will be able to use my 1 as a follow-up and use my shield to give Argus that pulsating damage around him, which is going to proc onto both of them. Now, once Argus is out in the field, you just use your right click, and you can tell him where to go. One thing to note, Argus does not go on cooldown until you actually start, until he actually dies. So that timer that's left on Argus, that will not start the cooldown until that timer actually goes all the way down and Argus is physically dead. So for our boots right here, I am going to get myself the Shoes of the Magi, and I'm going to start working into my Spear of Desolation. So now the Argus is dead, my ability will actually go on cooldown. This means that if you're not going to be utilizing Argus, it can actually sometimes be beneficial to send Argus to his death, like yeet him at a tower or something, just so you can start getting that cooldown going. Argus is also going to be on a very low cooldown, regardless of our CDRs, because of Hera's passive. When we smack people with Hera's abilities, we are going to reduce Argus's cooldown, which is fantastic. So just by walking up and smacking people, we're actually going to make Argus come up faster, which means even without CDR, this ability comes up a lot faster than you would think. And one of the reasons why we build so much CDR on Hera is because of that feature. Anybody that has some sort of flat cooldown reduction in their kit really benefits from CDR, because if you can get that CDR already really low and then you get that base increase on top of that, the cooldowns just stack very, very efficiently that way. That 0.33 that I get off of Argus is way more effective when Argus's total cooldown is like 60 seconds compared to 90. 0.33 means so much more. So I got a Terra right here nearby. I gotta be a little careful right here. I'm gonna throw down my ulti and my Argus to try to peel for me. See if I can't run away from this one. And it looks like we might be able to. So right there, I was probably positioned too far forward. Especially with not necessarily having all of my cooldowns up in that moment. Hera really has to be positioned carefully, and I was not positioned carefully enough right there. So I'm gonna use my 3 just to get a little bit of movement speed from the base. I've got my Argus out. He should probably stick around long enough to help me tank a little bit of this red buff. It's gonna be close actually right now on my Argus timer, but I'm gonna send him over at this red buff. See if he won't tank it just a tad for me. Get some extra damage off. Then he goes away and the cooldown begins. So I'm trying to get my CDR in line with a Spear of Desolation and a Soul Gem. That's going to give me 20% CDR. I did not go the cooldown shoes because I'm planning on getting a Chronos Pendant. Chronos Pendant, I build on anybody that has that built-in cooldown feature, because you're going to get full CDR right from a Soul Gem, Chronos Pendant, Spear of Desolation. And then on top of that, I get minus 0.33 from my passive. And then I'll get the extra minus 1 second onto the Chronos Pendant. So all of those flat reductions on top of each other will make your cooldowns absolutely nothing very, very quickly. So it works well on Hera. Now that I've gotten level 9, I can start to play a little bit more aggressive. I saved my point at level 8, so I've got my ultimate with 2 points into it, as well as my 1 completely maxed out. And now I've got enough damage where I can start looking for those big pickoffs just by myself. So my combination is going to be the ulti 2-1, and if somebody does not have a beads up, that should pretty much 100 to 0 them as long as they are a squishy. I'm actually going to throw down my ulti right down here on the Merc, and then I'm going to use my 2 just to kind of peel for myself a little bit He's gonna get down to half HP. I didn't want to have to use my beads right there. So instead of using my beads, I just go ahead and use Argus. Argus is gonna be a way lower cooldown than my beads. Now I can back it up, get myself a Spear of Desolation, a couple of wards, and start to work on that soul gem. For our matchups on Hera,
That's too bad.
Hera prefers to go against melee targets. The reason is because she actually does not have a real escape skill, but she does have bonus movement speed. So you can have a pretty decent chance of keeping out of the melee range of a lot of characters because of your bonus movement speed, but you really aren't going to be able to get out of the ranged for mages and hunters. So you got to be careful with that. She also struggles against high CC compositions. She does not have any built-in CC immunity, so you've got to be careful against high CC comps. Nox is actually a fascinating pick into Hera, because if Hera, if Nox hits me with her 2, if she gets that 2 off on me, what I would naturally want to do is use my 3 for the bonus movement speed to get out of it, but it's actually too late to use it at that point. So I'm going to come back towards this team fight because there's actually a couple people a little low. I'm looking for the Cupid. I'm going to throw down my 1 right after my ulti and be able to finish that Terra right there. Didn't even need to use my 2 after my ulti right there for the follow-up because I knew that the 1 would be enough damage to just kill him. So I'm just going to start sending my Argus right at this Nox. Just to annoy him. Just gonna send him right on down. I'm gonna pop the 3. Look at Argus go. He's just gonna get me a little bit of free damage right there onto the Nox and just be annoying. Now Argus is almost dead, and I do actually want him to die to start getting my cooldown back up. So I'm gonna send him at the tower. He's gonna give me like 100 damage on the tower, and unfortunately, the minion is gonna tank that tower just long enough for me to back and Argus to come back with me. I was trying to kill Argus right there to start that just a couple of seconds earlier. But the big minion actually tanked all of those shots for Argus. It's kind of funny. Still got like 150 free damage on the tower. Now we've grabbed Aegis as our second active. Just gonna help us keep alive a little bit right here. Trying to walk over to this fight. Nox uses her CC immediately for my 2. I'm gonna try to keep him a little bit zoned out of mid. Gonna try to get out of the range of this and hit him with my 1. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to reach that in time. Keeping my finger right now on my actives because I know that I'm low and I might need them, but I want to kind of turn around and help out my Jorm. I don't know if Cthulhu has his ultimate up. I'm gonna use my beads right here to try to get out of the range of the Cthulhu. And now we're gonna have to back it up again real quick. Not gonna be able to pick up my red buff right now. It's gonna be too risky, so I'm just gonna back it up and go back down to mid. So what does Hera like going against? Hera actually likes going against squishy targets in general, particularly those without CC immunity. Because of Argus's very low cooldown, it means that she can go very aggressive into squishy targets over and over and over again. You hit him with the ulti 2-1 combo, and if they do not have a beads or a CC immune ulti up, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. So low cooldown CC immune abilities are annoying for you. Nox can be very annoying and hurt. Those cooldowns are going to be quite low, and they can use them over and over again to counter the knock up on your ultimate, because there is a small delay on Argus. You do have time to react. And so if you can force him to use beads, that's great, because Argus will be up in 50 seconds, so you can just kill him the next time. So you don't want to go necessarily against a lot of CC immune ultimates. Now, one cool thing with Argus is Argus tends to do well against hunters if you use him appropriately for body blocks. So one of the most underrated facets of Argus is the fact that he is an actual basically giant minion, and so he will stand there and tank a tower for you. Like right now, I'm going to summon Argus under here for the Cthulhu, follow up with my 2 and my 1, and now he's sitting there tanking the tower. So my whole team can dive into this because Argus literally does not care. He just sat there and tanked it until he died, and now it's on the Fenrir. So make sure you're utilizing Argus as a giant tank, whether it is to tank a tower like we just utilized him, whether it is to stand in front of a hunter in body block auto attacks. You should be using him after the damage for his big old beautiful body. He'll tank a red buff, he'll tank a gold fury, whatever, it doesn't matter. Argus can do it all. Argus is by far the best part of Hera. So the more ways that you can find to utilize him, the better off that you are going to be. Gonna see if I can't get over here and help my Fenrir if he needs a little bit of help. Nope, he's gonna be all right. So I'm just gonna chill out near the mid lane. The next time that my Argus comes up, I'm gonna try to look over towards the Gold Fury. I feel like I was actually outside of that range, but that's okay. Argus is very good at tanking those objectives for us and allows you to do objectives a little bit earlier than you otherwise would be able to, because you would take too much damage. Argus's base HP is kind of ridiculous. If you look at his HP scaling, right now he's got 2100 health. He has way more health than I have already. He's probably got actually just about as much health as our actual tanks. So now that we got the Soul Gem online, I'm going to start to work on that Chronos Pendant. Chronos Pendant, going to cap out our CDR at 40%. And of course, is going to pair extremely well with our passive. It's going to be Argus City all the time. I also generically like pairing near cap or cap CDR with Soul Gem. Soul Gem is going to give you that extra damage proc, that little heal for your team. And obviously, the more abilities that you can use, the faster you can use them, the more use you're going to get out of it. So if you pair it with full CDR, you're going to be able to get a lot more procs going, thus giving you a lot more effectiveness out of that item. So it's kind of a win-win. I'm going to send in my Argus towards this Nox, and he's going to tank it for me. And it's going to allow us to dive all the way through onto this Nox and get the kill. Best part about Argus is just being able to dive wherever you want. So we made it through the early stages of the game without getting absolutely decimated. We made it to around level 13, I would say, is when Hera starts to get quite strong. And from level 13 onward, she starts to become a problem. Once she gets her build a little bit going, once you're outside of the actual laning phase and the kind of getting ganked, and once you start grouping up as a team more and more often, you start fighting around objectives where Argus becomes more useful. That is when Hera really starts to thrive.
Your team has
At this point, we should just be going around looking for objectives. So right now, I called for the Pyromancer earlier, but nobody seemed to walk over there, and Hera's coming over to the Gold Fury, so we should be able to start up this one. Another cool thing about Hera is even without your Argus, you're actually pretty good at tanking objectives for a mage because of your shield, especially once you start getting that leveled up a little bit. So don't be afraid to tank that objective a little bit for your team. Gonna pop a little beads and Aegis here just to get me outside of that Cupid range, and so I don't get heart bombed while I'm waiting. Because your 3 is also going to be on a fairly low cooldown, a lot of times you can hop in, start tanking an objective for your team, use your 3. Once your 3 runs out, just go ahead and reset it out. It's just generating some extra HP for your team. You don't need to tank it the whole time. And it works better on Gold Fury than Fire Giant, because Fire Giant will, of course, summon that Pit of Despair and make things a little bit more awkward when you try to reset out and you get the fire bleed on you. Now, for my final item, I am going to probably get myself a Rod of Tahuti here, and of course we're going to get that Gem of Focus, which is going to give us some of that extra movement speed.
Tower is under attack.
In general, right now as a mage, I'm not super concerned about having a ton of percent pen. Most people are not actually building that tanky. So the need for an excessive amount of percent pen is just really not that much right now. You're really going to need to be more concerned about the squishy characters that are one-shotting you, the assassin, the ADC, the mage. Good boy Argus is just going to walk right in here and tank it for us. And we can honestly just start going right at the tier 2 because Argus will just walk right on in. I'm going to use my 3 just to get a little bonus movement speed so I can avoid that too. Now I got to be very careful though because Mercury just absolutely bopped me. That was a good Mercury ultimate right there from the side. And he's going to be able to take me down, but that's all right. We get ourselves a Chronos pendant, and they've got their entire team in mid. They're doing a much better job of grouping than we are right now, for sure. So right here, right about the 15-minute marker or so in Smite, it's officially group o'clock. So we had our solo laner still over in solo. We had our hunter still over in the duo lane. Honestly, we probably shouldn't have shoved with them being over there, but they also should have been probably over with the team in the mid lane. So really a misplay on both fronts right there. You need to get your team grouped right about that 15-minute marker plus. That's when you're going into 5-man team fights. That's when you're looking to do gold furies and fire giants and all that stuff. And so you need to make sure that you are actively trying to group once you get to that point of the game. But at the same time, if your team is not grouping, you need to make sure that you're aware of that on the map. I should have looked up and realized that I only had my Nemesis and my Fenrir with me, and that we were not going to be able to go into that tower because we were going to get rotated on. So you've got to make sure that you're being careful with that on both fronts. Now they could start the fire giant right here. They've got a Cupid Mercury, so they've got a lot of burn potential, but it doesn't look like they're going to go for it. So I'm going to try to look for a quick pick. Maybe somebody gets greedy. They stick around a little bit too long for a camp. Maybe they try to come in here from the top right. I can actually hear them over there. So I'm trying to stay outside of the minion range so that I can look for a quick kill, but unfortunately not going to be able to have anybody low enough for any of those kills, but the idea was there. Gonna take a gander at their left-hand side jungle, putting out some deep wards. Thought their red buff might be up since they sent everybody over towards the fire giant side, so we're trying to make sure we get some XP and gold off of this, and now I needed to just start running away now that they're a little bit closer to us. Oh my goodness. The Mercury ults this game are just absolutely on point. I've got to try to use my Aegis. Wow, Aegis did not go off for a long time. That is unfortunate. So right now, they're just doing a better job grouping up than us. You can see that they're just running around as a team. Mercury is going around and getting some good picks. He's using some really deep ultis in order to get to us. And what we need to do right here is just get grouped up as 5. And we can start messing around these Gold Fury and Fire Giants and looking for those plays. So right now I probably need to transition my gameplay. I was playing pretty aggressive. I was trying to push our lead. But we no longer really have a lead anymore. So I need to transition into we are no longer winning gameplay. Instead of trying to be all up in their buffs, trying to take their reds and all that stuff that you should be doing when you're ahead. Now I need to go back and start doing more defensive work, doing a lot more defending of our own buffs, peeling and that kind of stuff, and just generically staying farther back. Now another thing about our composition right now that you can see is we have a really bad comp for Hera. We have absolutely no peel on this team. So with Hera, you're going to want to peel somebody because she cannot peel for herself, really. She has not a lot of survivability. You're going to want to typically pair her with more traditional solo laners and supports. She's going to benefit a lot more from a Geb, a Capri, a Ymir, something like that that can help keep her alive. Even over in the solo lane, something more like a Guan Yu, anything that can provide healing and peel. Compared to, we have a more aggressive team comp. We've got a Jorm and a Fenrir, which can provide a lot of aggression. But as far as Hera goes, this is not the team comp that you would want to actually be Hera with. You would want to have a more CC oriented comp, a more peel oriented comp that can actually help you out, because otherwise you're just having to rely on your Argus and your Poly in order to keep you alive. So as far as your actual friendly team composition, you would want to see something a little bit tankier, a little bit better at getting people off of you, because you can provide a lot of damage, but you're very susceptible to people just W-king right at your forehead. I'm gonna get a little defensive sentry ward out here on the right hand side, and I need to play it back. Our Jorm is not with us right now, and they also have the fire giant, so we need to be very careful. I'm worried about a big Mercury ult coming in, so I'm gonna kind of stick back as much as I can. There is the Mercury ult. It went right on down. Our Fenrir grabbed a Terra, so I don't want to drop my whole kit into a Terra, but we did get a nice Cthulhu ultimate out of this, which is nice, but I still need to be aware of my surroundings, see what's coming for me. We need to be careful right now. We should be backing up. We're a little bit too far forward. They have the fire giant. This happens a lot. You'll see teams just move way too far forward. When you start to get a little bit of damage going off, don't get baited by running too far away from your towers and stuff. When the enemy team has fire giant, unless you have a healer, they're 100% going to out sustain you, so you should be playing back near your towers, near your objectives. A lot of people start to see blood, and you want to keep chasing and you keep getting it, but they're going to out sustain you so hard with that fire giant buff, so you gotta be careful. At this point, we have not lost any Phoenixes, which is fantastic. So we're just chilling, trying to keep all of our Phoenixes alive. If they get the tier 2s, that's not a big deal. We can go get ourselves our gem of focus. This is gonna help us a lot when we're in the living department. That little bit of extra movement speed, those percent mitigations are going to go a long way. Now, Mercury is dead. They've only got 3 people here. We are respawning. Their fire giants are going to be running off them very soon, because we can see that fire giant timer. So now is a more appropriate time that we can push up and look for a quick pick. Maybe they get greedy and they stop for something. Otherwise, we should be able to just start ourselves a little pyromancer action, which I don't mind tanking while my shield is up, so nobody on my team takes any damage.
Group up.
Yep. At this point, we just need to get grouped up, and we need to be looking for team fights together. I've still got my beats up, so that's okay. Fire giant doesn't spawn for about another minute, so we can walk over towards the gold fury together, which seems to also be down, but now we have gotten the oracles. We can probably look for some ganks up by their buffs. We don't know if they have done these yet. It looks like they have, but we should be able to start running around as a team. We're pretty deep and looking for some quick picks. Our target priority right now should probably be the Mercury and the Cupid. Nox is annoying, but typically not the one you want to focus. Cthulhu just tried to dash in, and he actually uses a bead right there. I'm playing in the back line. There's a Mercury coming towards me, so I throw down a little Argus action. And luckily, I got my shield off in time so I can live through that. Now, I need to back up, need to chill. You can see how the Mercury is constantly ulting through to the back line for me. That's something that we should expect is going to continue to happen.
Be careful.
We've gotten 2 kills right now, though. This is a big win for us. There's a huge wave over in left lane. I need to make sure that I'm buying a sentry ward on every single back so we can put it over near the fire giant in order to make sure we have that vision. Now, they still have 3 people alive. They could actually try to sneak the fire giant. So I'm going to start immediately running back over there. They were low, but they've got the Terra heals. They've got Cupid heals. And if Cupid has crit, he does have crit, they can definitely do the fire giant, and they have done the fire giant. So even though we won the fight, everybody backs all at the same time. We don't have any vision over by fire, and so they do actually get that, although they only get it onto 3 members. And we should be able to gank this Terra before he can actually back. That's good for us. That means they're only going to actually have fire on to 2 members, really. I'm kind of waiting for him to start his dash so I can poly him after he uses his dash right there. Getting that fire giant only on 2 people is going to be a pretty nice little trade for us. Fenrir deciding to just ulti him and hold him still since we're having a hard time killing him. Now they're probably going to group up and head over to the other side of the map from the fire giant. Gotta look for some gold furies. We can actually walk over ourselves though, because we have a 5v4, only 2 fire giants. I'm not worried about it. I like us pushing up here together.
Gank left lane.
We do not have to be afraid of them right now, as long as we get grouped up. Now, me and Anher do need to be a little bit afraid, because we're not actually grouped yet. But there's a Mercury here who uses his dash and his blink to get out of that one, avoiding my ultimate. That was a very good play right there, not getting caught out right there on the Merc. But he's channeling his ultimate. They've got Terra back up in 10.
The forest shall be my eyes.
At this point, we're probably going to need to go ahead and just retreat. Our Jorm is kind of getting railed on. Holy cow. So Jorm is actually a good example of a character that is, we call win lane, lose game. Jorm has one of the worst late games right now of any of the Guardians. He has a really nice laning phase because of his clear. But once you get into the late stage of the game, Jorm just does not really provide anything to a team. He doesn't actually do any damage. He doesn't have any peel for the team. He kind of just becomes a giant body blocker is the best thing that he can hope for. So this is not how long a Jorm hopes that the game goes. I need to be very careful about this Mercury. Holy cow, I'm gonna pop my 3 just to get some damage reduction on me, because we're about to, we need to back up because we are getting wrecked right now. They've got a lot of damage with the team, and they might be able to just try to go for the Titan. We really can't let them have 2 Phoenixes here. Once you have 2 Phoenixes down, you're in a very hard spot. So my target priority right now is that Mercury. He's used his dash. We're trying to get him off of this Phoenix. I'm gonna have to use my Aegis here so I don't get blown up by that Cupid ult. And we actually need to keep pushing this one out, unfortunately. If we don't win this fight right here, we're in a very, very hard spot. But Cthulhu still has his ultimate up, so now we need to chill out, and we're gonna need to retreat. There's just nothing that we can do anymore. We just don't have enough damage to kill anybody. Just missing some damage in our composition. Now at this point, I'm gonna rank up my beads before I rank up my Aegis. My Aegis is already on cooldown, so there's no point to really rank it up until a little bit later. My beads are still up, so I can actually utilize that bonus cooldown that I'm gonna get from ranking them up. Now at this point, we're in a really hard spot. We need to get awards around the fire giant. We're not super gonna be able to defend the fire giant. Because we already have 2 Phoenixes down. But having the vision around would still be the preferred scenario. So we got to get defensive wards all around.
Let the light shine.
Oh, speaking of defensive wards, howdy. You think they have a little bit of vision? Oh, now we're a back left door right there, just a tad bit. Just a tad bit of vision right there. So we need to retreat away from the fire. We just gotta let them have it. At this point, if anybody gets picked off, we basically just lose the game. So we need to chill out. They counter all of our vision, that's fine. We've gotta sit around and defend our last little Phoenix. Everybody is level 20 at least, so we don't have any XP deficit. So all the deficit is just gonna come from the gold that we are down and their fire giant buff. Now their end game composition is way better than ours, particularly with that Mercury, but the Mercury is screwing up a little bit. So if we could actually find him right now, that would be fantastic. Unfortunately, he is gonna basically get away with that unpunished, and I've got to use my shield just to try and get away from this one. It's going to be close. If I die here, it's probably over, but I did stay alive. We lose our right Phoenix, and we need to go for the big 5-kill turnaround. I'm gonna ulti over the wall, gonna get a 3-man Hera ult right there, follow it up with the 3 and the poly proc, and we have to find a way to win this fight. But man, they've got so much healing with the Terra. They've got so many shells that we're just not able to get anybody even a little bit low. We're just missing so much damage right now. Nothing we can really do. So we just need to retreat, back it on up. We don't have any Phoenixes up. We've got very little cooldowns. Mercury gets a massive shield right there. Now they're just going to run over towards this left Phoenix. I need to try to get out back towards our Titan. I'm gonna pop my ARGUS, and I don't think I'm gonna quite be able to move. Oh, I do actually get back in. I'm gonna ulti right on top of our Titan. Get as much damage off as we can, because if we're gonna come back from this, we need a big wipe right here, because we had to keep all of these Phoenixes alive. But our left Phoenix is gonna go down again. Right's gonna get pushed in. I'm gonna use my 3 here just for the movement speed to try to catch up to the Nox. I'm gonna be able to get into range, hit the Cupid as well. And while they technically don't end the game, they do now have all 3 Phoenixes down, and it's basically impossible to come back from the 3 Phoenix down this season, just because of how squishy Argus is. So at this point, we basically don't have any good plays to make. I'm gonna grab a potion of speed just in case we can find a way to keep this game going, but all we can do is throw out some wards
The forest shall
defensively
be my eyes.
and then push up really far into the jungle and try to find all 5 of the enemy team before they can go ahead and push down our squishy boy. So we've got mid pushed out. We've got left push out. That's a huge pick right there, actually, from our Anher. I'm looking for a pick over here as well. I'm going to be able to get the Cupid. This could be very big for us. Getting rid of Terra 3, so if she can't knock it in, this is so big. This is exactly what we needed, is all of these picks, because we have to fight them way outside of the Titan room. Now I've got Argus, who can start tanking this tier 2. I'm looking right towards the Mercury, who is actually going to get knocked up right there by Jorm.
Attack middle lane.
And we need to try to keep this push going as hard as possible. Unfortunately, Nemesis actually walked into the range of the Phoenix before the Argus. So he's going to take way more damage from that than he needed to. Mercury ulti is in. If we can make Mercury our target here, we actually have a shot at turning this game around and winning. But it looks like everybody's going to be too low.
Retreat.
But we did buy ourselves a lot of time right now. I'm still going to be kind of looking around and playing greedy, because if we can kill this Mercury, we've just got such a big opportunity. I'm going to use my beat. I'm going to use my Aegis, everything. We got to be able to kill the Mercury. Cthulhu doesn't have his ulti up, so we're going to hit him with the combo. We got to bring him down as well. This actually could be it. Cthulhu is going to go down. The Nox ulti, luckily I still have my 3 up right now, and we actually need to keep pushing this. As much as we want to back up, they don't have the Nox ult. We've got 2 dead. We're going to have a lot. We need to... Now we can chill. We can actually go towards the Fire Giant. We've got the right Phoenix up. We've bought enough time for our mid Phoenix to come up. And now we need to go try to grab this Fire Giant. We need to make sure we are defending all 3 lanes still. This is flashing, but they're actually coming this way, so we need to be very careful because they are all on the way. Now, what we would like to do here is to try and defend this.
This will root
So
out
I'm going to
all
go ahead and grab
enemies.
myself an obsidian shard instead of my boots. We do not want to give this up for free if we do not have to. So if we can actually move ourselves back towards the
Defend
fire giant,
giant.
that would be the play right here. We need to push out left. We need to get the vision near the fire. We do not want to have to give it up. Mercury is going to be a problem for me because I don't have beads for 40 seconds. So I'm going to try to stay in a spot that would be a little bit hard for the Mercury to ulti too.
Be careful in the jungle.
I see I've got a little bit of vision on him. Hopefully those aren't fire creeps in left lane. Those are just regulars. If they're fire creeps, we're in trouble, but it looks like they're probably regular creeps. That's perfect. Oh, no. We actually have to be careful. Those are fire creeps. I'm going to back up. We have to go defend this left lane. We need all of our phoenixes up. So I've already backed. They've got 4 there. As long as they're careful, they don't have somebody there as well because they went over and did Oni. I'm hoping that's the last wave of fire creeps because I need to immediately start running back over there. It was Mercury that did the Gold Fury. He ultied in. And as long as nobody instantly dies, this is a great kill onto the Mercury. He is way too deep. You can see him ulti in there and dash in there, bringing himself out of position. Now we need to look into the backline for this Cupid and for the Nox. If we can get ourselves onto them, I'm going to pop my 3. I was just outside of the Nox combo range. He is at 1 HP, and I'm going to be diving pretty deep back here for this. I'm going to switch onto the Terra because she is a target right in front of me that I can actually try to hit. We take the Cthulhu down. Cupid dashes in. We're going to be able to kill the Terra right here. We should be able to kill the Cupid as well. And then we go right through middle lane. We don't need the fire giant anymore, and we should be able to turn this one around. There's some creeps going into the Titan room.
Attack middle lane.
But we've got a solid 30 seconds right here. We're going to lose our Jorm to that Noxel, which is a little unfortunate. But with all of us, I've got my ARGUS up still. I don't really want to end up tanking this Titan. We should have Awesome Sauce tanking that. And we should be able to put this one away. Shouldn't have probably been that hard. But at the end, we start grouping up. We start fighting way better as a team. We did exactly what we needed when all those Phoenixes were down, which is you can't sit back in the Phoenix room to defend the Titan because the Titan will have like 14 HP. And if somebody gives him the stink eye, he passes out. So me and her move forward towards their tier 2 tower. We grab a couple of pickoffs. Those pickoffs, because death timers are so long, like 70 seconds, allows us to actually get our Phoenixes back up and go for another actual round of fights, which we just happen to do way better in, guys. And that is your Hera guide.